and speculated, the Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin has been killed in a jet plane crash. Wagner boss Prigozhin, who was the head of the mercenary group fighting the war against Ukraine on behalf of Russia, had drawn all the limelight with the short-lived mutiny he headed against the Putin administration back in June this year. The mutiny at the time was called treachery, as the experts said the unfortunate development today had been a foregone conclusion. Good evening, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. The election of parliamentary committees to be held on 28th August, 4 months since their formation. Nepali Congress bags 4, UML 3 and Mao Center settles for 2 leaderships. Director General of the Department of Immigration, Jhalak Ram Adhikari, moved to the Ministry of Home Affairs after his chat record with one of the alleged culprits, Dawa Chering, revealed. 6 countries, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, are to join BRICS as new members, as the announcement was made on the final day of the BRICS summit today. And Team Nepal gear up for Asia Cup with training sessions in Pakistan. India also start camp for the coveted Cup with training in Bangalore. The election for the chairperson of the parliamentary committee has been scheduled for Monday next week. 12 committees, 10 under the House of Representatives and 2 joint committees have remained without leadership 4 months since their formation. Speaker Devraj Khimire, during the meeting of the chief whips and advisors of 4 main parties that was held earlier today, announced to hold elections to appoint the leaderships of 10 thematic committees on Monday next week. Senior members have been chairing the meeting of the committees so far amid failure to appoint chairperson of the committees. It may be recalled that committees under the House of Representatives had been formed on the 28th of April. However, Speaker's failure to schedule the election and political parties' indifference towards appointment of the leadership has rendered the parliamentary committees ineffective. The Speaker has scheduled the election after the ruling and opposition parties reached a consensus regarding power share. As per the agreement, Nepali Congress will lead 4 committees, CPN UML 3, CPN Mao Center 2 and CPN Unified Socialist, Janata Samajwadi Party and Janamat Party 1 each. Lawmakers have expressed resentment, citing the Supreme Court had gone outside its jurisdiction to bar the implementation of the Parliament Development Fund. During the meeting of the House of Representatives earlier today, lawmakers expressed resentment, saying that the Apex Court had made the decision against the principle of separation of powers. The Supreme Court had issued an interim order yesterday directing not to implement the Parliament Development Fund. Lawmakers from the ruling alliance said that the formation of laws and budget was under the jurisdiction of the Parliament and that the court must not interfere. In a different context, lawmaker from the main opposition, CPN UML, Bhim Prasad Acharya, said that education sector had become disoriented amid failure to formulate the Education Act on time. Lawmaker of CPN Mao Center, Rupa Sosit Chaudhary, blasted the government's lackluster approach in management of victims of floods and landslides and farmers who are reeling under lumpy skin disease epidemic. Manish Jha of Rashtriya Swatantra Party said that negligence by old parties have deprived the general public of transformation. Likewise, Deepak Singh from Rashtriya Prajatantra Party blamed large parties of holding the parliament hostage for a month. Director General of the Department of Immigration, Jhalak Ram Adhikari, has been moved to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The move comes after the authorities learned about the conversation between Adhikari and a Belgian national of Chinese origin, Dawa Chering, who has been alleged of involvement in the gold smuggling scandal. The ministry has begun investigating the chat between Adhikari and Dawa. Adhikari is currently shifted to the reserve category. He had been appointed as the Director General of the Department of Immigration on the 1st of March. Meanwhile, Dawa has been under detention of the Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police for his alleged involvement in the illegal gold scandal. 7 persons were killed while 19 others were injured in a bus accident near Jitpur Simara Submetropolis Ward number 22, Churia Mai, earlier this morning. According to Bara Police Chief Hobindra Bogati, 6 Indian nationals and a Nepali citizen were killed in the accident, which occurred at around 3 a.m. this morning. 19 injured are undergoing treatment at different hospitals of Hetauda. Those injured have said that the driver had consumed alcohol at a hotel before the accident and was driving the vehicle at a reckless speed. The driver and conductor who were absconding after the accident have been arrested from Janakpur. The vehicle was carrying Indian pilgrims who were heading to Janakpur from Kathmandu after paying visit to Pashupatinath temple. A total of 28 passengers were on board the ill-fated bus. Meanwhile, an individual has died after a college bus hit a motorcycle rider in Prakauli of Jaleshwar municipality, Mahottari. 35-year-old Santosh Yadav, a resident of Prakauli, died after the bus owned by MIT campus in Jaleshwar hit the motorcycle. Police have said that Yadav, who was critically injured, died while he was being taken to Jaleshwar for treatment. Locals have obstructed vehicular movement through the road section following the incident. Meanwhile, police have been searching for the absconding bus driver. Printing and distribution of smart license has slackened yet again. The Department of Transport Management has halted printing of smart license of other than those going for foreign employment, higher education abroad and peacekeeping missions. The printing has been halted except for service seekers with emergency, saying that only 70,000 cards have remained in stock. Majority of the service seekers recently have been returning empty-handed from the department. The department has attributed the problem to the delay in procuring smart cards by the importer. The German company that has been contracted to print the cards has said that the cards will be made available within 1.5 months. Meanwhile, the Department of Transport Management has remained without leadership for almost a month. Secretaries have refused to be transferred to the department, citing bad reputation of the entity. The department has yet to pay 50 million rupees to Madras Security, the company from which the smart card system was purchased. Joint secretaries have also refused to be transferred to the department, citing persistent controversy amid lack of coordination with the provincial level. In the meantime, Minister for Physical Infrastructure and Transport Prakash Jwala has claimed that the leadership of the department will be appointed this week and works that have remained subdued will be intensified. The Supreme Court has upheld the writ filed against the formation of the new government in Koshi. In its verdict today, the Supreme Court has said that the election of Chief Minister of Koshi province was anti-constitutional. With this latest verdict, the political turmoil seen in Koshi province has further deteriorated. A murder case has been filed against 12 individuals, including police personnel, in connection with the death of 2 inmates in Sankwasawa jail. District Police Administration Sankwasawa has said that case has been filed against a total of 12 individuals, including 8 police personnel, including the Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police and 7 inmates, along with security guard, and investigation on the incident is underway. Police have said that involvement of police personnel as well as the security guard has been identified through CCTV footage. Binod Tolangi of Sankwasawa and Akash Balami of Kakani Nuwakot were allegedly beaten to death inside the prison 2 weeks ago. Vehicular movement has been obstructed in the road section in Gaidakot municipality of Nawalparasi East under the Kaligandaki corridor following landslide triggered by incessant rainfall. The DSP of the District Police Administration, Ved Bahadur Paudel, said that continuous rainfall has hindered the task of removal of the debris. Vehicles reached the hilly regions of the district through the corridor. Locals have been facing difficulty to reach the district headquarters, Kawasoti, Gaidakot and West Highway due to absence of bridges in the alternative road. Time now for international update. Six countries, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, are to join BRICS as new members next year, as the announcement was made by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on the final day of a summit of the group that considers itself a counterweight to Western powers. The group, encompassing 5 major emerging economies, China, Brazil, South Africa, Russia and India, agreed for BRICS expansion process during the 3-day annual summit held in Johannesburg this week. As part of the first phase, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia and the United Arab Emirates will join Saudi Arabia and Iran to become full BRICS members in January 2024. The expansion of the group is part of its plan to build dominance and reshape global governance into a multipolar world order that puts voices of the global south at the center of the world agenda. More than 40 countries had expressed interest in joining BRICS, and 23 formally applied to join the club, which already represented a quarter of the global economy and 40% of the world's population. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke via video link at the closing news conference less than 24 hours after the possible death of Yevgeny Prigozhin in a plane crash, but made no mention of Prigozhin's death. Chinese President Xi Jinping announced China's financial institutions are to soon launch a special fund of $10 billion to implement the Global Development Initiative. Xi also announced China will increase cooperation with African countries and called on China and Bangladesh to push for high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. Bangladeshi Prime Minister Hasina congratulated Xi on the 10th anniversary of the BRI, saying that it had opened a new door of development for Bangladesh. Bangladesh had formally requested to join the BRICS group back in June. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said a common currency used by BRICS countries in commercial transactions would reduce their vulnerabilities. There are 42 countries, in fact, there are 42 currencies used in BRICS nation. Japan has started releasing treated radioactive water from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean, a polarizing move that has prompted China to announce an immediate blanket ban on all seafood imports from Japan. China has said that it is highly concerned about the risk of radioactive contamination brought by Japan's food and agricultural products exported to China. Signed off 2 years ago by the Japanese government and approved by the UN nuclear watchdog last month, the discharge is a key step in the dauntingly long and difficult process of decommissioning the Fukushima Daiichi plant after it was destroyed by a tsunami. Plant operator Tokyo Electric Power said the release began at 3 minutes past 1 p.m. local time, and it had not identified any abnormalities with the seawater pump or surrounding facilities. However, China reiterated its firm opposition to the plan and said the Japanese government had not proved the legitimacy of the water discharge. Tokyo has in turn criticized China for spreading scientifically unfounded claims. It maintains the water release is safe, noting that the International Atomic Energy Agency has also concluded that the impact it would have on people and the environment was negligible. Russia's Federal Agency for Air Transport has confirmed that Wagner Group private military company's leader Yevgeny Prigozhin was killed in a plane crash in the Tver region near Moscow. According to the name list released by the agency on its Telegram account, Prigozhin was among the 10 people who lost their lives in the crash late on Wednesday. The agency said earlier that an investigation had been launched into the cause of the plane crash. A private Embraer plane en route from Moscow to St. Petersburg crashed in the Tver region, Russia's Ministry of Emergency Situations said, noting all the 10 people on board were killed in the accident. An area about 1.5 kilometers away from the accident site has been cordoned off, and emergency department personnel have started a survey at the site. Moscow's Lefortovo District Court will hold a hearing today to consider an application by Russia's security services for an extension to the pretrial detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Ivan Gershkovich. Gershkovich, a U.S. citizen, was arrested by Russia's Federal Security Service on March 29 in the Ural city of Yekaterinburg on alleged charges of espionage. The FSB accused him of collecting state secrets about a military-industrial complex. Gershkovich was briefly seen as he was escorted from a vehicle into the courthouse. Both Gershkovich and the WSJ deny the espionage charges, which U.S. President Joe Biden has called illegal, and the United States has officially deemed him wrongfully detained. The Kremlin has said that Gershkovich, the first U.S. journalist detained in Russia on espionage charges since the end of the Cold War, was caught red-handed. A report by the Vietnam's Institute of Geosciences and Mineral Resources has said Vietnam's iconic kissing rocks in the heart of Ha Long Bay are at risk of collapse. The twin rocks, which rise out of the bay and appear to touch or kiss and are highly popular with visitors. But experts have warned in a report that rising sea levels and fishing boats traveling too close are causing the rocks to erode. Experts at the Vietnam's Institute of Geosciences and Mineral Resources said illegal fishing and unregulated tourism were helping to speed up the erosion of the rocks. They have observed deep fissures crossing the rocks, warning that they could collapse if action is not taken to preserve them. Ha Long Bay in Quang Ninh province is dotted with hundreds of tiny islets, attracting 4 million tourists in 2019. Islets in the bay have long been buffeted by coastal erosion, and several other notable tourist attractions have been heavily damaged in recent years by buffeting seas. To counteract the effects, the report urged officials to introduce new regulations to the bay, including limiting the speed of boats passing through it to just 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. The election of parliamentary committees to be held on 28th August, 4 months since their formation. Nepali Congress bags 4, UML 3 and Mao Center settles for 2 leaderships. Director General of the Department of Immigration, Jhalak Ram Adhikari, moved to the Ministry of Home Affairs after his chat record with one of the alleged culprits, Dawa Chering, revealed. 6 countries, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, are to join BRICS as new members, as the announcement was made on the final day of the BRICS summit today. And Team Nepal gear up for Asia Cup with training sessions in Pakistan. India also start camp for the coveted Cup with training in Bangalore. That's all for the moment. Our next English bulletin will be at 10:30 tonight. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.